Roxo Media House.
From the Flying T Studio at Roxo Media House, this is Frogs Today. Former Frog great and newest member of the Frogs Today family, Marshall Newhouse. Beach volleyball freshman, Anhelina Khmil. Plus insight from the TCU coaches and players. And now, here's your host, the voice of the TCU Horned Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Welcome in now to the Wednesday edition of Frogs Today. It's a new lineup, if you will. Monday nights, of course, is Dissecting the Frogs with head coach David Bowden. Tuesdays, the Sonny Dykes Show. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of every week, we'll bring you Frogs Today. This Friday night, by the way, we'll be broadcasting live at 7 o'clock from Lot 12. Got a men's basketball reunion in town, and we're looking forward to being with Coach Dixon and some former players. That'll happen on Friday. Tonight, though, what a great lineup we've got. Anhelina Khmil is going to join us here shortly. She's a member of the beach volleyball program with an amazing story that you're going to want to stick around for, all right? That's coming up here shortly. Plus, we're going to get the latest from Coach Sonny Dykes and some players from the press conferences that have taken place this week coming out of the Colorado win leading into the Tarleton game coming up on Saturday. That's all coming up here very shortly on Frogs Today. But right now, it is our honor to bring in one of the greats. And I'm talking great player, but better guy. Marshall Newhouse, the former Horned Frog, joins us right now via Zoom from Austin. Marshall, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Hanging in there. How are you?
I'm doing great. It is great to see your face because we've got a major announcement here at Frogs Today. Marshall is going to be joining our team for our pregame and postgame shows prior to and after home games. It cranks up this week against Tarleton on Saturday night. Marshall, I want to say a big thank you for agreeing to join our team.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate the offer, and I'm following the coattails of the greats. So you guys will lead, and I'll follow.
Well, I tell you what's going to happen is we're going to be following what looks like a pretty good football team here to start. The win at Colorado last Saturday night, I thought sort of set the tone for the season. I know you had a chance to glance at that. What were your takeaways real quick from that one?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think everyone was optimistic, but we were all just wondering what the team would look like. There's just been the unspoken of just kidding turnover, and everyone's just curious what the culture will look like, what the tempo, the attitude. And I think we got a good glimpse into the kind of players, the kind of team that Sonny Dykes is gonna yield on Saturdays. And I liked what I saw. It was guys are flying around. They looked passionate. They looked like they were playing for each other, and that's a good start.
And I know you had to like that offensive line, especially in the second half, the way they really dominated, able to run the football against Colorado.
Absolutely. As the games goes on, you kind of see if linemen can start leaning on a defensive front, and that directly correlates to running back success, offensive success, and then team success.
Your decade in the NFL, and I can run through the teams. You probably can do it by heart. I have to look at it. Packers, Bengals, Giants, Raiders, Bills, Panthers, Saints, Patriots, Titans. Did I get everybody?
There you go.
Got it. Your decade in the league, you saw injuries play a role. You saw it play a part. You lose Chandler Morris, but boy, is it a real luxury to have a guy like Max Duggan who comes right in. You know, they run the QB run to get him warmed up, and then led that team in the second half. That's a real luxury for a team to have two signal callers, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at a new college landscape where you had 50 new starting quarterbacks who are in the transfer portal, and the luxury of having a guy who's got as many starts as Max Duggan does, who's sitting there as your backup. He's taking reps in camp. He's led his team to victories already, to come in and just pick up without a beat. So that's going to be a big help for us. And then you saw even our third string quarterback that I'm not sure everyone knew about come in, and looks like we are capable on three different levels at quarterback, and that is an absolute luxury.
Yeah, to have guys like that. Sam Jackson, as you mentioned, comes in, had the big run. All right, give me your perspective on what you saw defensively out of Joe Gillespie's defense. Here he comes in as the D coordinator, changes the system a little bit over what we've seen in years past here at TCU. 3-3-5, one of the things they've emphasized is playing fast, get the calls in a little bit quicker, letting guys react to it. I tell you, I thought the linebackers played really good in this game.
They were fast. They were side to side. They were filling the holes. This 3-3-5 is new for me. It's new for a lot of people. It's a little bit more versatile. It's a little bit different than what we're used to. It's going to provide a lot of versatility, a lot of ways to slow down a lot of these high-flying attacks. But you have one less defensive lineman on the field, so we're going to have to adjust to what teams throw at us as far as personnel packages. But I'm excited. We've got senior leadership at every level of the defense. I mean, even down to viewing how the defense of guys got their calls from the sideline. They usually are getting, in the old scheme, they're getting 3 different calls from the linemen to the linebackers to the DBs. And so now they're all kind of working as one. So that's going to take some time to be cohesive, but they looked stout. I think it's just a whole different philosophy, but I think it'll allow us to definitely, compete in Big 12 and then beyond and give us versatility.
Well, Marshall's going to be joining us pre- and post-game now, starting up this Saturday against Tarleton. You can see him here at Frogs Today, frogstoday.com. I want to do one thing before we get out of here, Marshall. I want to brag on you. I want to brag on your entrepreneurial spirit. Give folks an idea of, and you don't have to get too specific, but what all's going on in your world, because it is a whirlwind around you for sure, man.
I mean, whirlwind, sure, but it's one that I invited on myself. I got fortunate enough to meet some mentors in my NFL days across, a bunch of different asset classes, both real estate and from the startup world. And I've made some investments, and that allows me to kind of be involved from a business perspective. I've learned a lot and have a lot more to learn. So those things that are kind of ongoing for me. So I'm excited for the opportunity to do more and commit more time to those things. But football is always going to be creeping its head into my life. And I'm excited to be here with Frogs Today.
All right, brother. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday. You're one of the good ones, man. Maybe even bring your folks around, too. We'd love to see them
they can't
as
wait,
well.
I know.
All right. There he goes, Marshall Newhouse, joining us via Zoom here today. You'll see more of him coming up on Saturday as the Frogs get set for Tarleton. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. Sonny Dykes' press conference highlights, plus players and coaches from the week. We'll get into that coming up. But first, Anhelina Khmil's going to join us. She's a member of the beach volleyball team here at TCU with a great story. Stick around. It happens next on Frogs Today. The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU. Both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
Welcome back into Frogs Today to the Flying T Club studios. We promised you this was going to be a great conversation. First off, we'd like to welcome to our studios for the first time, Anhelina Khmil. How are you, Lena?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Glad you're here with us.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, and Hector Gutierrez, you know him, the beach volleyball coach here at TCU. How you doing, brother?
Good, are you?
Yeah. Thanks for shaving.
Yeah, right. That's what I said.
I know.
Needed to shave.
Yeah, man, come on.
Next time.
Next time. No, it's a cool look. I like it, man. I like it. We wanted to get Lena on with us because, Lena, you got a great story. One, we're glad you're here in Fort Worth and glad you're at TCU.
Thank you.
But you came from Ukraine,
Yes.
right? So how long have you been here in Texas?
I've been here since August 14.
Okay.
I think around 3 weeks.
Around 3 weeks you've been in Texas. What do you think so far?
This is awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's big difference between Ukraine and America because I've never been here before. It's my first time, and it's really awesome.
Yeah?
Yes.
Do you have any cowboy boots yet?
Not yet.
Not yet?
But I hope later.
Okay,
I will,
good.
yep.
Yeah. Let's make sure they're on the list. All right, Lena, I want to tell us what's happening in your home country right now, because we've had a chance to talk. I was telling you earlier, we have a former basketball player, Ed Ruskas, who's doing some work in that country to try to help with the effort with refugees and things like that. Tell us what's happening in your country right now.
I think, as you know, it's happened like the war between Russia and Ukraine, but I'm lucky because 23 February, I left my country right before, 6 hours before the war started.
Wow.
Yep. because we had a training camp in Czech Republic. Like it was supposed to be from 23 February to March, 10 days, like
Okay.
3 or 4 March. And I've been in Czech Republic for 6 months, and it's really terrible because I feel so devastated not be able to do something, and I just can check the news, and praying every day for my country, for my family.
Do you have family still in Ukraine?
Yes, my family in Ukraine, and they are safe.
They are safe.
Yes.
That's great. So you end up in the Czech Republic. How did you end up here in Texas and at TCU? What happened? Okay, that process of going from Czech Republic
Okay.
to TCU, how did that work?
You asking about my documents,
Well, no, just like, did you discover her? Did you know was she looking for a school to go to, or?
Well, I saw her playing like a couple of years ago, and of course when she went to the World Champs, I contacted her, and I was talking to her about if she would be interested on the opportunity to come here, and she said yes. So at that moment she was living in Czech Republic. So yeah, we started in touch, and it wasn't easy though, because her coaches weren't dealing to let her come. Yeah, it was like old mentality. Coaches are like both a little bit older, so I think it was one of the things that they didn't see through the future of the player. They just wanted to have the team for their own,
right?
Because they were doing so well,
right?
And I don't blame him for that, but it was a hard process, especially for her, what she's saying. She's away from home. She's 19. Her dream is to come to the U.S. and study and keep playing, and someone is not letting you do it.
Yeah.
And one of the issues were that at the end, doing all the paperwork and visas, her coach retained her passport.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They took the passport away, and who's saying, I'm not going to give it to you for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So we didn't know like how that's going to end up, because she talked to him and said, hey, you need to give me my passport. It's mine. I will call the police and all this stuff. And he didn't want to give up. Yeah, it was really stressful. I feel so bad for her because, I'm talking to her here and say, hey, that's not legal. Like,
right.
You can't do that. And but I think she got a strong conversation with him, and someone from her federation called the coach too, or for the embassy. We don't really, because she talked to the embassy well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because she needed to do all the paperwork in Czech Republic, so she talked to the Ukraine embassy, and I think, we don't know, but they may call him and say, hey, you can't do that. And she ended up giving her a passport.
So you got the passport.
Yep.
You were able to come to Texas.
Yes.
Did you come here knowing anyone? Do you have any friends?
No.
No one.
No one.
You knew no one.
But I met Dani and Tanya Alvarez and Moreno. Yeah. They also playing for TCU.
Right.
And I met them 2 years ago. Yes. And I think I know only these girls, and that's all.
That helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least you've met them.
Yep.
So that helped a little. So the process was late, though, right? This is August.
Really late.
That's late.
Yeah.
And so how did you find a spot? How do you?
Well, we got the spot, but the financial piece was the worst.
Right.
Like to go around it, because of course, she comes from such a bad situation.
Sure.
That but we're lucky enough that TCU were willing to help.
Yeah.
And make it happen. So I talked to Jeremiah, I talked to Gretchen, and I explained the situation that we needed it. Because in the beginning, and I told her the same, in the beginning when I talked to her, it was like, hey, she's a great player. Mm-hmm. We need you here.
Yeah.
But as, we talked more and knew more of the situation, it became more like we need to help her.
Yeah,
regardless.
It became personal at that point.
It did.
Yeah.
So I talked to Jeremiah and Gretchen about it, and they were all in. They say, okay, let's help her out,
Right.
and if you think it's besides a good fit, but the girl needs help, we're gonna help. So the school came all in, And that was she's here because it's true. It was really late. And we were kind of skeptical a little bit of the visa would be in time. I told her like, hey, they might decline it because it's so late. We don't know. Let's do it as soon as possible. So it was like really stressful, like, events for her because the coaches didn't want to. We didn't know. But we, as I said, with the help of the school, thank God it was great. We couldn't make it work.
And all is good now, right?
Yes.
All is good.
Now, yeah.
How's the volleyball here? Do you like it?
Yes, I like it.
You like the team?
Yeah, yes, it's different because in Ukraine, like, there was like my partner and me and 2 coaches, and that's it. And here is big team, 25 girls.
Right.
Yes. And it's like one team always.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You like it?
Yes, I like
Good.
it.
How you like your coach?
It's awesome coach.
He is awesome. How do you like the food?
I'm getting used. I'm still getting used. Yeah, sometimes it's hard because it's different. Yeah, and when I was in Ukraine, I heard that food in America like so fat, more sugar.
Right.
Yes, and when I look at the food, I always think maybe this better. No,
Right.
Can you give me some advice for food? Yes, I'm still getting used. But
Good.
It's getting better.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm glad you're here. Do you know what you're going to study?
Business.
Business.
Yes.
Awesome. Super. Well, we're glad you're here in the United States,
Yeah, me too.
and we're glad TCU was able to help. We're glad you got a great coach too. You do have a great coach. Yes. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Good to
Thank
see
you,
you.
Ryan.
All right,
Thank you for
man.
your time.
Always a pleasure. All right, coming up next, we've got Sonny Dykes in his own words as the Frogs turn their attention to Tarleton on Saturday, plus a couple of players that'll stop by the media interview room as well. When Frogs Today continues after this.
Texas-based Happy Water offers the best-tasting, sugar-free kids drink ever made. Happy Water comes in 4 delicious flavors that you can find at local retailers and on Amazon. Each pouch contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, and 0% juice. Head to happydrinks.com for more information and to purchase Happy Water. That's HAPI drinks.com. Live happy, be happy, drink happy.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Welcome back into the Flying T Club studios. Time to focus now on the Frogs and the Tarleton Texans coming up. Tomorrow's show, by the way, that'll be our primary focus. And then Friday night, we'll be live from Lot 12 to the basketball reunion. So Jamie Dixon and his friends will be with us on Friday. Right now, though, a quick hit and kind of get you up to speed on where things are with this team right now as they get ready for Tarleton on Saturday night. In their own words, let's hear from Sonny Dykes, his 2 coordinators, Garrett Riley and Joe Gillespie, and the new starting quarterback of the Horned Frogs for this year, Max Duggan, right now.
I think just being out there with the guys and being able to help lead this offense, put some points up on the board, help us win. I think that's the biggest thing. Again, like I said, whatever role that is that you have on Saturdays, you got to do it to the best of your ability. And that's my role this weekend. So just trying to help, lead the offense when I'm out there. Freshman year was a little reactionary, kind of maybe scared, didn't really know what was going on out there. But I think just, maturing in that aspect of understanding, how to play the position, how to lead guys, how to play in big-time environments, and get the job done. So, yeah, obviously watching them, they fly around. They got some good players on their team, obviously, on all levels. Coaching staff has been a lot of places, a lot of big-time places, and for a while, so they know what they're doing. So we just got to focus on us, do our job, make sure that we execute, and don't let them dictate what we do. So I think just starting faster in the first half, just kind of coming out there and kind of get into a flow, into a rhythm a little bit earlier. I think you kind of saw that beginning of the second half of guys kind of getting back into the game, and don't know if it's just because it's the first half of the first game, but just starting quicker, kind of getting into that rhythm and flow of the game, and letting our playmakers go do their thing out there. Yeah, it's really exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement around the program, and I think a lot of Frog fans are looking forward to it. Obviously, we're trying to go out there, put out a good product for them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully a lot of people show up and help us out. Yeah, I think that's really everything. Obviously, growing up as a coach's kid, you get kind of harped on that by my dad of what a good teammate is, what a good leader is, and understanding that, this is the greatest game ever, and it's a team game. If you want to, go play golf and be by yourself, go do it. But it's a team game, and I think that's what makes this sport, the greatest thing ever is the camaraderie, being around the guys and just helping each other out and understanding that, there's things that are a lot bigger than yourself, and that's helping out the team. Yeah, obviously, and injuries are, the worst thing in a sport. So things of that happen that are out of your control. I think just it sucks, but you got to understand that the things that you can control, you got to make sure that you're doing the best of what that is. Whether that's rehab, helping guys out, being in the film room, things of that sort, things that you can control. That you need to focus on. There's other things, with an injury that you can't control or out of your hands. So just making sure that you do the things that, are in your circle and you can handle. Yeah, it's, it's kind of a reality check, looking back on it, the game, maybe getting taken away from you, you're not being able to play. And I think that just helps put into reality of how, fortunate I am to be around these guys, around these coaches, in this university. I think just kind of thinking back on it, that I'm in a really lucky spot. I've been really fortunate to be in this position in my life. Yeah, it makes my job a lot easier. Obviously, if you can hand the ball to all those guys, they all have their strengths. They all kind of bring a different element to the room. But I think every time they get in there, I have confidence in every single one of them that they're going to do their job. They're going to be in the right spot. And obviously, they all have that ability to make that big play and be playmakers and kind of change the game. So it's really fortunate to have them.
To a win, start the season with a win, I guess. Was impressed with kind of how we handled a little bit of a unique situation, just with the late start time, the weather delay, just all the kind of stuff, having to sit around really on a Friday, which is a little bit more difficult normally than waiting that long on a Saturday, just because of there wasn't any college football or anything on to watch. So just impressed with the maturity and the way those guys handled that situation. Like I said, we were up 7-6 at halftime, and I don't think anybody really felt great about the way we had played, but nobody blinked in the locker room. Nobody panicked. We just sat in there and regrouped a little bit and came out and got off to a better start in the second half and got settled in and certainly played better. In the second half. And I think that's the way we anticipated playing. Offensively, the first half, we just did some uncharacteristic things. We haven't really practiced that well in fall camp. We missed some throws. We ran the wrong route. We were just not in sync. I was surprised just because that had not been something that I had seen from this team leading up to that performance. So I think it was probably some pregame jitters, maybe mixed in with a little bit of, just having to do it for the first time. So once everybody got settled in, I thought we played better in the second half on offense, and was really impressed overall, really for all four quarters, how we played defensively. Thought we played really hard. Thought we ran to the ball well. Thought we tackled really well, particularly for the first game. So it was a good starting point, and a lot of things we can improve on and work on from here. Obviously, Darius's punt return for a touchdown was a big part of the game. I think it settled everybody in a little bit, and but overall, it was a good performance. Hard to win on the road, hard to win, particularly against a Power 5 team on the road, and with a late start and a rain delay and altitude and all the stuff that people can kind of get sidetracked on. That didn't seem to bother us too bad. So was impressed with the way, again, our guys handled it. Yeah, so Chandler won't play this week. And then I think after that, it'll kind of be week to week. He's got a sprained knee, not severely sprained, but it's one of those deals. We'll immobilize him for a couple of days is my guess. And then, try to get out any kind of swelling or anything he's got that way. And then it'll be basically strengthening and kind of getting back to normal. So won't play this week. And, fortunately we have an open week next week, and we'll kind of reevaluate it and see where we are. Yeah, we'll always evaluate. I mean, my guess is it will be, but we'll see. we'll see how the week goes. And then the same thing kind of at every position, really. We'll just see who practices the best, and then that'll be the guy that starts. But if you're asking me what I think Max will probably start. But I would imagine Sam will play. We felt like, especially with Chandler getting hurt the other night, that we needed to play Sam, get him some reps in that game just in case something happened to Max. And so that way of thinking will continue as we move along. You just want to make sure that you have some experience at that position and somebody that's has played in some meaningful snaps. And so we'll see how practice goes this week, but that's my guess. Yeah, I don't think so. No, I think we'll play. We'll play a lot of guys. I mean, I think that's our intent, is to play as many guys as we think can help us win. You know what I mean? I think that's the big thing, is if you can play, 3 players at a position, and instead of one guy playing, 30 snaps, one guy playing 90 snaps, you can have 3 play 30. That's a significant difference, just in terms of how fresh they are. The likelihood of them not getting injured is significant. Typically when you look at injuries, they usually happen because worn down or late in the game, that type of thing. And so our thing's always been, look, let's play as many guys as we think can help us, and it's going to help us stay healthy. It's going to help us stay fresh, and hopefully, when the guys get in, they realize, okay, look, I may only get 20 snaps. I'm going to go as hard as I can all 20 snaps. And I think it allows your guys to play at a higher level. We're going to have a number of freshmen that are going to play significant roles on our team this year. And I think it allows you to sit down and say, okay, look, as you're recruiting somebody, just sit them down and say, look, the facts are the facts. We had, 15 true freshmen play last year, or whatever the number is. And so I think that helps, convince young people that they're going to have an opportunity to play. And in today's college football landscape, as I said earlier, I mean, you got to play everybody, especially if you think they can help you. And, that freshman class is really good. There's a lot of good football players in that group. A lot of guys that are going to help us win a lot of football games and, for a number of years. And so it's a great way to get them on the field, whether it's on special teams or whether it's on offense or defense. Getting those guys experience makes a huge difference. And it's like anything else, it's motivating. Those guys can see, okay, look, I got a chance to play, and they practice at a higher level, and it just helps your overall morale, as you said earlier. But I just have always believed, heck, if you're good enough to help somebody win, we're crazy not to figure out a role for you. Yeah, I think, you look at college football week 1, all you got to look at the games, that were played this weekend. You look at East Carolina, missed an extra point and a game-winning field goal against NC State. You look at, obviously, last night, LSU with the blocked field goal, the blocked extra point, and the 2 fumbled punts. Special teams early in the season, there's always big plays that kind of make or break games, the first couple of weeks. And they do always, but they're magnified in week 1, 2, and 3, really. So I think for us, having Darius make that play, I thought was a big confidence boost for us. I think Colorado came out and they were playing really hard, really fast. They looked like they were playing at a really high level, and you got to give them credit for doing that. I thought they were prepared. They got us on our heels a little bit defensively, because I don't know that we knew exactly what we were going to see. And so we were kind of adjusting as the game went along. I thought Coach Gillespie and his staff did a really good job of doing that. But, I felt like at that point we were probably on our heels a little bit, and then Darius makes a big play, and I think it changed our mindset to a degree. And I think, like anything else, we felt like going into the ball game we might have a speed advantage, and I think that reinforced that for us. And where we understood, hey, look, we got some guys that can make some plays, and let's just do a good job of getting them the ball and creating some space for them and letting them do their thing. And so I thought that was obviously a big play. Thought we blocked it incredibly well. Thought Chase Curtis and Spivey both made really, really good plays there, smart plays, where they could have blocked somebody in the back and elected to screen. And again, showed some maturity. We showed a clip Thursday night at the hotel to our entire team about crackback blocking and in that play in particular on a punt return. And I think those guys obviously paid attention, and it was exactly what we showed. We had 2 clips from previous years, 2 Alabama games actually, where they blocked behind the play and got a 15-yard penalty for a blindside block, and then an example of screening. And both the guys did the example of screening and resulted in a big play for us. Really same thing as last week. I mean, I think, our focus is always kind of on our performance in ourselves. It won't change really no matter who we play. It's never going to be about our opponent. It's always going to be about us and trying to play to our standard, regardless of who it is. We talked a lot about execution last week. And again, if you look at the second half, we scored every possession except the one that we took a knee on to end the game. And really the only difference in the first half and the second half was execution and us doing our job. And so I think that's the big thing for us is we've got to do a better job of doing that early in the ball game. Got to start faster. Our offense, when we get into a rhythm, is always pretty good. I think the thing that we have to do is figure out how to get that first down. And then, typically once we do that, then it seems like we get settled in and get into a good rhythm and get rolling. So the challenge this week is just going to be go out, execute, move the ball. We had 7 penalties, which is too many. We got to cut our penalties down. Had one on special teams, and we got to eliminate that. And just play a little bit cleaner than we did last week. I mean, I was happy we didn't turn the ball over. We had a bunch of opportunities defensively to get turnovers. We had our hands on about half a dozen balls. We got the 1 turnover, but got a penalty on the interception. So we just got to clean up some things, but I thought our effort was good. It was what you want. I think the normal thing that young people do sometimes just overlook teams occasionally. And, that's going to be the big thing for us is just learning how to not do that. We're going to obviously point out example after example of FCS teams beating, traditional powers and that type of thing. And you don't have to look too far around college football. I mean, it's easy to find those examples. So you just want to make sure that the guys understand that and that they're, worried about themselves. And I think that's our focus, and it's always going to be our focus is to control what we can control. And that's, how hard we play and how well we do our job. And as I said earlier, it doesn't matter if it's Tarleton or Alabama or whoever it is. And the good thing is we're going to put the Tarleton film on and they're going to see good players, and I think that's the thing that is different. There's sometimes you play an opponent and you put the film on and they go, ooh, and that's not going to be the case. I mean, Tarleton's got good football players. A lot of guys. I mean, obviously a heavily recruited and regarded quarterbacks and big receivers that can make contested plays. A group up front on both sides of the ball that's got size and strength, and then a bunch of guys on the back end that can run. So, that's the good thing. They're gonna be able to see on film that this is a very good football team and guys that can run, and they're gonna look at the success the program's had and and prepare themselves. And again, you would hope that they would do that regardless of who your opponent is. But it certainly helps when the film, when they can identify that there are good players on this team. No, I don't think so. I think they might have been together at one point way back when, but it's a little bit different than Jolie's stuff. He's more of a true 3-4, where Jolie's more kind of a 3-3 stack. A little more traditional on the back end. Tarleton is in terms of what they play. So enough stuff to keep you off balance. And when you play an odd like they do, there's always, you have to protect your edges as you go into the game from a protection standpoint and also a run game standpoint, because you're going to see a lot of edge pressure and you got to be solid up front, when you play a team like this, because that's why a lot of people get into the odd stuff is just it allows you to do so many different things with the blitz game. And so they'll have a great blitz package, I'm sure. I'm sure they'll bring a lot of pressure. And so it's going to be a big challenge for our offensive line this week, identifying the front, communicating and making sure that, we get the get the blitzes and the rushes and everything blocked the right way. And should be a challenging game also for, our running backs and some of the things that they have from a blocking standpoint. And also really our quarterbacks just recognize the things of being able to get rid of the ball. He's a big, strong guy with a big arm, and you can see why, he was recruited as an SEC quarterback. Can make the throws. Have just made some really impressive throws last week in the game. I mean, really throws a great deep ball. I thought he and the receivers were on the same page with, back shoulder throws and fade throws. And they have two big bodies out there at wide receiver that can run. And so you can tell that those guys are really operating at a really high level. It looked to me like ahead of schedule in terms of week one, where you would expect them to be in terms of going up and, the quarterback giving receivers opportunities to make plays and the receivers making them. So they did that pretty consistently last week. And that'll be a big challenge for us. And when you have a quarterback that can do that, throw the fade that well, throw the stop route, throw the back shoulder fade, all the stuff that he did last week, I mean, it can be very challenging.
We're going to focus on us as a defense and just getting better. And obviously we got to be better game 2 than we were game 1. So that's our big focus right now. Well, I think, some of the big focuses, we had some opportunities to get off the field early. And, we actually, at the end of the day, we were pretty decent on third down, stuff like that. I think our bigger focus right now is winning on first and second down from a defensive standpoint. We're going to have to sit there and win in the early down so that we can get them in the predictable situations. And so, it's a learning experience for me. I think we know a whole lot more about our football team right now, especially us from a defensive standpoint, than what we knew on this day last week. And so, right now we're just going to keep chipping away. There's little things to peck at, and we can't go out there and focus on the whole gamut of everything. And what's the most controllable things right now? And let's get control of those and get better at them. And so we got a lot of guys that got a little bit of battle test in them. They're going to get more battle tested as we move on. And, the big deal is right now we are getting a little bit thin at the linebacker spot. We can shuffle some dominoes around a little bit if we need to, and but don't feel like we're there quite yet. So the role of the linebackers in this defense is really what we're trying to simplify it for, really the front 3 and then the next level 3. And so you're talking about your D-line and your linebackers. You got 5 DBs on the field, so you want to make all your adjustments and things with them. Obviously, there's adjustments and checks and things that we have to do with those 3 linebackers and D-line as well. But when you start playing hats down in the box and things of that nature, you need to play fast. And so we want to take a lot of thinking off of them and let them react and don't get paralyzed by analyzing things. And so, the biggest deal is pulling your trigger when you see it and make it very simple. If we can't make the play, then make it spill. We want it to bounce to the perimeter to get to those DBs and things of that nature. And so that's kind of a little bit of what we were seeing the other night when it would bounce for us. I thought as a whole they did a really good job. Especially when you're sitting there running an odd front, you're going to have to rotate quite a few. And, we're a little bit different than what we looked in the spring, and thank goodness. And so I thought there was a lot of guys that stood out. Timon Mitchell, he was a guy that really stood out to me through the course of the game. And obviously after, getting to watch it after the game and kind of see what type of play that I really hadn't gotten to see out of him, through fall camp. And, but you can tell that he's had a lot of good experience. Well, they got a lot of guys returning, all but one right now. And so I think as a whole, as a unit, they work very well together. And, they had the big quarterback from last year that they did a very good job with, and all of those guys being there. Now here they are. They got one transfer in from ULM, playing right guard for them. The rest of them are there, and that really helps that guy right there because they can really lead him and help him and carry him on and kind of put him on their shoulders. And so, the biggest deal for them, I think, is just how they work so well as a unit, and from the run game, pass game, both standpoint. Obviously, Bo is a heck of a quarterback, and remember him in high school and all those things. And so we'll get tested for sure. Yeah, they got a lot of length out at wide receiver. They got a guy or two that can take the top off if they need to, and then they've got some extraordinary length. They got one that's standing about 6'6" right now that they're going to throw up the fade ball to. You kind of get to see some of them on ESPN Top 10. Well, I think that's the biggest thing that we have control of. I can't control what Tarleton's doing, not doing, and what they're going to bring or not bring. Obviously, they played one game. We played one game. They're still trying to figure out what we're doing, and we're still trying to figure out a little bit about what they're doing. But at the end of the day, we're going to come out and we're going to see a few things that are different. Biggest thing that we have control of is what we do and how we play the game. And so we go out and we play our style of football and everything. Then we should be able to go and take care of business, and that's our full intention and plan. No, absolutely not. I mean, you go on to the next game. I think the biggest focus is going to be on us, and then you go to the next game after that. Somewhere down the road, we're going to play the Big 12 champs. Defending champs. I think the biggest focus there is going to be what do we do, and because we can't control what they do, and so we got to go and control what we do and focus on us. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was just sitting there talking the other day, to some of the guys, Malcolm and Kelly and Paul Gonzalez and those guys that have been here for a minute, and just said, hey, tell me what I can expect. I want to know what it's like. I'm excited to see the environment and to get out there and be at home for once here.
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think, 18 plays total in the first half. So that alone is kind of uncharacteristic. Yeah, just some things where we self-inflicted things, some routine plays that we just didn't make, and so some of it was jitters, some of it was out of our control a little bit, but, at the end of the day, you got to shake that off quicker, and we've got to kind of come out of that lull a little bit sooner than we did. And so that's the thing that we got to harp on with our guys is you just got to get back on schedule and make the routine plays and just do what you've been doing all along, nothing more, nothing less, and we just didn't do that very well in the first half. Yeah, I mean, those guys, Coach Nix, their defensive coordinator, has been around for a long time. He's been really productive pretty much everywhere he's been. I think he does a great job, he and his staff, and they're going to present some challenges to us for sure. I think for us, it's kind of the same old deal, but we've got to, and it was like this last week, it's like this going into Tarleton. We just got to take care of our own stuff there early. We do that, I think we'll be in shape to kind of get off to a good start, be able to make routine plays. But at the end of the day, that's what we have to focus on is not as much them. It's got to be all about us. Okay. And that's what I keep kind of talking about. That was the tale of two teams that you saw last week. Didn't do that very well in the first half, did it pretty well in the second half. Yeah, I mean, no, we're going to always do what we do, but yeah, I mean, they have a little bit different style than we've seen in a while, but I think at the end of the day, it's be sound schematically, let those players really play fast and confidently. But in terms of stand-up guys and all that, it's not like that just presents, a change for us holistically, offensively. Yeah, so far, I think 18. Yeah, their Mike linebacker, I think, flies around. It's a good player. Really, all defense. I mean, they played one game, but I thought they really fly around. I think in the secondary, they throw their bodies in there and run support, those safeties. I think corners are aggressive. I mean, you just tell Coach Nix and his staff, they're preaching aggressive, play fast, and I thought they certainly did there in that game one. Yep. A little bit, I mean, that's what we saw for the most part in the first half too. Just weren't able to really kind of get going like we saw. But yeah, I mean, they gave us some light boxes and we tried to make them pay, and at times we did, which is what we have to do. And, I thought in the run game when Max did come in, had a big run there to start the fourth quarter, I thought he did a great job coming off the bench and just kind of giving us a jolt and keeping us going there in the second half and not really missing a beat. So I was really proud of him for that. Yeah, as much as we can. We feel like we got, a pretty deep room. And especially early in the season, you want to see what those guys can do in game, and truly see kind of what your depth's going to be like. So, yeah, that's the plan here early in the season. We definitely want to roll those guys as much as possible. That's going to help us throughout the season just to keep them healthy and just remain deep in that room, which is hard to do in college football. So, yeah, I kind of went into it at that position in particular where we wanted to roll guys pretty good. It's kind of that same message every week, man. We've got to be so jacked up and fired up to play. We don't care who it is. And, I mean, it truly has to be that if you want to be a championship caliber team. I mean, you just have to have that mentality. We've been talking about that ever since we've gotten here, really. And I think that's something from a mentality standpoint that we're going to do, that we're going to need to do. So, yeah, I mean, it's an emphasis. It's going to be the same for them as it is for opponents here in Big 12. We got to approach it that way. And I think the good thing is we have a mature group. I really believe that. I mean, it took maturity the other night to kind of do what we did and overcome some things that happened early in the game. we have leadership and we have maturity on our team, I believe. And so that's what they have to get done.
There you have it. Insight from the Horned Frogs as they get ready for the Tarleton Texans. 7 o'clock kick for that one. Weather's going to be perfect, folks. First home game of the Sonny Dykes era. We look forward to seeing you all out there for that matchup, the Horned Frogs and the Texans, Saturday night. Now, tomorrow, we'll take a little more in-depth look at this matchup. Got a couple of experts going to stop by for us. Got our round table that'll be here as well, and we'll start to give you some prediction as to what might happen on Saturday night. And then Friday night, of course, Lot 12 live at 7 o'clock. We'd love to see you out there for this one. Basketball reunion. A lot of former men's basketball players will be in town with Jamie Dixon. That's at Lot 12, Friday night at 7. We'll be live here on Frogs Today. Until we see you tomorrow, have yourself a great night. Thanks for joining us.
Frogs Today is brought to you by the Flying Tea Club, supporting TCU student athletes, and by Richard's Rainwater. Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Frogs Today is a production of Roxo Media House.
Roxo Media House.